Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on how to become an AI engineer in 2026. Like I was telling all of you, for everyone who joined us earlier, please introduce yourselves in the chat. I can see a few introductions, so I would like to go ahead and read out some of the introductions here. I can see all of your names, but it would be great if you could also tell us your city and what you're currently doing as well. It's interesting to know if you are from the AI background or not. Are you here to explore more? So it would be great if you could share that as well. So I'll just read out the names that they've shared in the chat. Hi, Vandita. Thank you for sharing. Hi, Kamlesh from Chennai. Hi, Mavish from Pakistan. Hi, Amandeep. Hi, Dwayne. He's joining us from US. Uh, hi, Rian. Hi, Mohammed. Thanks for joining us again. Hi, Gupta from India. Okay, so it's a wide range of audience. Hi, Dro from Philippines. Marcel from Republic of Congo. Hi, Viknesh. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Larry. He's joining us from the US. Ro from Arizona. Sainath from India, Amal from India, so many people joining us. So thank you all for giving your introductions. Hi, Zo from London, Zoha from Pakistan, Mark. Okay, hi everyone. Okay, so many introductions coming in. So thank you all once again for sharing your introductions. Robin, hi Robin, and he's a business analyst from London. Wow, very interesting to see the kind of backgrounds that you're all from. Hi Rohan from Haryana. How long is the webinar? We have not. It's going to be 1 hour long, right? So try and stay with us till the end. All right, so it's time now to start the webinar. I can still see all the introductions. So thank you guys for being so active from the very beginning and sharing your great introductions. So I will also introduce myself. I'm Shweta and I represent Simplilearn and I will be your host for today's webinar. Today, as you can see on the screen, we are going to talk about how you can become an AI engineer in 2026. And as we all know, AI is everywhere. We hear about it in the news and hear people say AI is taking over, AI is the future. So we're going to talk about how we can navigate through all of this. And we also have a wonderful speaker with us, Timothy Henize. You would have seen him in probably some of our earlier webinars as well. He has an interesting background, something that might inspire a lot of you as well, which I will talk about more in depth in the coming slides. So before we begin, I just want to quickly take you all through the ground rules. So if you have any questions, please put your questions in the Q&A box. This is the only way me and Tim can actually see your questions and try to address them if it is relevant through the slides, or if not, at least towards the end of the webinar in the Q&A section. And please use the chat box effectively. And let's try to keep conversations related to today's webinar and topic. And please do not share any external links in the chat. Finally, for your certificate of attendance certificate, all you have to do is share your full name in the poll that will be shared at the end of the webinar, and you will receive your certificate, recording, and slide deck along with the post-webinar resource within 48 hours of the webinar. Right? I hope this is clear. These are just some ground rules to get us started. And before we go ahead, I just quickly want to know from all of you if you have attended our webinars before. Are you attending Simplilearn webinar for the first time, or have you been, regularly attending our webinars? Please let me know in the chat. We would really love to know your responses. I can see a few familiar names, so I'm assuming a few of you have attended webinars before. So many are saying first time, first time. Okay, wonderful to see so many first timers here. And Stephanie, I remember, I think you joined yesterday's webinar as well. So thank you for coming back again. Right, second time, so many first timers. So, all right. Thank you guys for giving your responses. So I'll quickly tell you a little about Simplilearn and what we do, especially for people who are joining us for the first time. So we actually help people transform their lives by empowering them with digital skills. And we do this through different courses that we provide as a part of Simplilearn. And we have already helped over 8 million plus learners advance their careers across 150 plus countries. And we do this in partnerships with multiple universities and industry partners, right? So you can see on screen Google, Microsoft. A course we are promoting today is also in collaboration with Microsoft, and we're going to talk about it in detail towards the end of the webinar. So these are some of our partners that you can see on the screen, and a few highlights that we wanted to point out to our audience is that most of our learners have reported a 50% salary hike on course completion with us, and they have also rated us 4.8 out of 5, and we have a graduation rate of 80%. So we just wanted to talk to you about the kind of experience you can expect with Simplilearn in general and also through webinars. We really hope you guys have a great time. So that's about Simplilearn, and I'm pretty sure I didn't take much time. So let me move on to one of the most interesting parts and something I genuinely have been looking forward to. Right. So today we have with us Timothy Henize. So I think everyone calls him Tim. So I'm going to address him as Tim from now. So when we talk about AI, right, a lot of conversations are really high level or extremely technical. And what excites me about today's session is we're learning from someone who actually lives that, right? He has also moved from operations to AI, and now he's also building human-centered AI tools through his work at AI Handyman. And that's a wonderful transition, and also kind of like a myth buster, because people feel like you need to have a technical background to get into AI. So we have brought in a speaker who can actually talk to you about his life and experiences and how he is transforming people's lives and helping businesses through his initiatives. And I'm sure he's going to share a lot of his wonderful experiences, and let's hope to have a wonderful and exciting webinar today. So Tim, I think I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm sure they're waiting to hear more from you.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. So, hello, everybody. My name's Tim. So, my background, my extensive career, for lack of a better term, in 18 years was in hospital operations. So, I worked at a level 1 trauma center in the Midwest. I was a director of operations in the emergency department, so emergency medicine. So, essentially, what I want you to take away from that is that we couldn't just find out what a problem was, we had to solve problems quickly. So, I think that's what set me up for success in the AI world, is because not only was I teaching some corporate trainings and I was putting together lessons and plans to teach people about customer service as well as software rollouts, I had a teaching background built in. But the biggest thing I took away from that experience is that I had to solve problems quickly. I had to bring teams together to solve problems quickly. So about 3 years ago, I started to learn how to code. And then with the advent and the progression of tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, I was able to accelerate those skills very quickly. But what I do with my current company, the AI Handyman, is I talk to individual business owners or just individual creators or entrepreneurs, and I find out what do you need to know about AI to help you make your business successful. And then we work on just the basics, the foundations, what they need to know to be successful, what tools they need to solve a specific problem. So I take very complex terminology in AI, which is fascinating to some people that enjoy that, but I make it more accessible to more people so that people aren't so afraid of AI. They can take what they need from AI, learn how to incorporate it into their business or their workflows, and then they can succeed and become much more efficient with AI without that technical overload.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Tim. I'm sure it sounded really exciting. I am inspired by your story, and I'm sure everyone who's joining us is also as inspired. So I think I
Thank you.
would like to start this webinar with something that we all know, that AI engineer is a role that's really fast growing, as per LinkedIn reports as well. And across industries right now, roles are changing faster than most people can actually keep up with. And AI is not just another tool being added, uh, right? It's something that is going to be incorporated in everyone's lives. So this is also a very bold statement. So Tim, from your perspective, what is really driving this search? And more importantly, how should professionals think about this opportunity beyond just the salary or just the top job title?
Absolutely. So I think if anybody on this call or anybody who's looked around at LinkedIn, you see a plethora of different titles, whether it's prompt engineer, junior AI engineer, solutions architect. There are a lot of companies who aren't exactly sure what they need yet, but they need someone to come in and help them make sense of the AI landscape. So what an AI engineer does, it's not just someone who knows how to program or just someone who knows how to manipulate data. It's someone that knows how to connect all these systems together, how to make actual meaningful tools out of AI. So yes, we can all ask ChatGPT, hey, give me 100 lines of code to solve this problem, and it'll do it. But what an AI engineer does is they know how to take that to an enterprise team. They know how to work with it with multiple people on the same code base. They know how to actually produce it and display it to the rest of the world as a product. They know how to build things that can scale, anything from token usage to actual usability of a product. So AI engineers are the fastest growing job in 2026. I firmly believe that because we have all these AI tools now. And so now what companies need is somebody that can come in and help them orchestrate all those tools and actually make meaningful pipelines and actual progress and efficiency within their business workflows.
Thank you for sharing that. That gives us a great perspective on what it looks like to be an area engineer right now. The next slide we actually have is on what AI engineers do, because I feel like a lot of people here are not in the field currently, and you can also let us know in the chat what you're currently doing. Are you in the AI space? So it would also give Tim and me an idea of what the audience makes us like, so he can keep that in mind while explaining what AI engineers do, right? So please go ahead and share your current background in the chat. And in the meantime, Tim, can you also let us know, for someone who's new to this field, what does an AI engineer do?
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, an AI engineer could do almost anything in AI, but there are some specific things that could want to focus on. The thing I want to highlight for people that aren't in the tech field or especially the AI field, AI tools that we have today are great at amplifying what you already do best. So if you already are great at data entry or data manipulation or SQL databases, then AI can help make you even better and more efficient. So you don't necessarily have to start from zero every time. But a lot of the focus for AI engineers are designing and training machine learning models. You have to know how to actually not just copy paste something someone else made, but actually make it personalized for whatever business or specific use case, building those data pipelines. All these AI tools work great, but they work even better when you combine them together. And then deploying the AI systems. So where do we actually publish this? Where does it actually get used by the the general public at large? Monitoring model performance. A lot of people are worried about AI accuracy, hallucinations, what bad things could happen if we release AI. Well, that's what AI engineers can come in and do. They can make sure things are traceable, that AI is being used in a way that we can keep accountable. So they work with teams across organizations to help connect efforts and connect tools. And then they also make sure that they are able to explain what they're doing. A lot of the times, if you're producing a demo, you might be producing it to an executive board or someone who's also not very tech savvy. So you have to often be able to explain that business impact. How is this thing that I'm showing you actually going to improve sales or decrease costs or lower overhead, things like that. So it has to be someone who's not just good at understanding the foundations, but communicating those foundations that you can see on this slide.
Right. Thank you for actually helping us get a lot of clarity on the role and also the day-to-day work of an AI engineer, like briefly about it. And it all sounds really interesting. And as you were also talking, I was keeping an eye on the chat box, and I can see that there are a lot of students joining us. Some are data analysts, there are lecturers, some AI engineers and students of AI, and there's director of information technology. So it's like a vast audience right here, and it's very interesting to see that as well. We hope we provide value to all of you who have joined us today. That also
Absolutely.
brings me to a very important question also, because I understand a few of them might be exploring this field for the first time. So when it comes to AI, there are multiple roles. And how do we really differentiate between some of the key roles that we see every day? For example, what could be the difference between a prompt engineer and an AI engineer? And then there's ML engineer role. So how do we understand what role pertains to what, and how can one make that choice or decide which role they want to pursue further?
Absolutely. So on a LinkedIn specifically, I don't mean to prioritize any specific platform. However, oftentimes you'll see a title. What matters more most of the time is what the job description is. So if a title's muddy or if it just says senior analyst dash AI, you can look more into the actual description of the role to see if it's more of a data manipulation role for someone that connects with data science, or if it's more of an engineering role where you're connecting tools. Prompt engineers are oftentimes sort of an entry level position, not always, but a lot of the times prompt engineers are just a company needing somebody that knows how to talk to these systems. They know how to write a good prompt for ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini. So what I normally encourage people to do is attend webinars like this, get as much information as you can without getting too overwhelmed. So you can get a full kind of sense of what the landscape is. And then you can start drilling down on, okay, this is a skill that I can highlight things I already know. If I'm already really great at data or really great at communicating technical ideas to other people, then you can kind of hone in on what you want to focus on as far as a career path. But it's great to just attend different webinars, different sessions, hear what tools people are talking about, hear what skills people are talking about, and also know at the same time that it's rapidly evolving. So you have to be willing to stay in the game and connect with blogs or resources or Simplilearn and webinars and keep learning about the new things that are coming out every day. So yes, it can be an overwhelming landscape, but the more information you gather, and again, I just encourage people to highlight what they already think they're good at.
Right. Now, thank you for clearly explaining the differences, Tim. I think it does provide a lot of clarity to our audience. And I can see some questions related to the healthcare delivery and how AI could probably help in that. I think we can address this in the coming slides also, and even towards the end in the Q&A section. So I would really recommend all of you to just post that question in the Q&A box. So we will surely address that. In the meantime, now that I saw the chat and I understand that everyone here are from different career paths, some accountancy and some from healthcare, some medical students, freshers. So it's a diverse group and not everyone's journey look alike. And so I had a question in my mind. Based on their current skills and experience, how can someone with a tech background or someone without much of a tech background plan their way ahead? Because this journey is going to look very different for someone who has a technical background and someone without it. And I'm sure you would know yourself because you have made that transition. So could you please help us understand what steps they need to take further?
Absolutely. So a lot of people are starting in different places. So courses like this and just a general rule of thumb, and I did see something in the chat too. There are ML engineers, there are AI engineers, but what an AI engineer does specifically is kind of at least know a little bit, even if it's just terminology. So they might not be designing machine learning tools, but they know who to tap on if they need more information. So when you're learning to be an AI engineer, you kind of have to start at the beginning and learn at least a little bit about a lot of different things. So you start with strong coding habits. I personally learned HTML first. Nice coding language to learn. It's easy, but it's not crazy useful. And then I quickly moved to Python. I'm not a master Python coder, but knowing the foundations of Python helps me understand when I'm generating code with a tool like ChatGPT that I'm not creating major security risks or something like that. So even just learning those foundations. So a software engineer might have a really good understanding of a specific coding language, but someone else coming in that's a data analyst, a data scientist, might not be locked into specific coding practices. So they might have a leg up in that they might be able to adapt to some of the newer ways that people are coding with AI tools than someone that's been programming from scratch straight out of their head for 20 years. So everybody has kind of a different advantage. I'm not saying any of them's a pro or con. I just want people to understand that even if you think I'm not the strongest coder, especially for non-tech backgrounds, we start with a lot of AI literacy. What do these terms mean? What do all these acronyms mean? So then you understand the context of the language we're speaking in before you start adding things on, like a little bit of basic Python, a little bit of basic data handling, some code, a little bit of how an actual machine learning model is formed. Even if you're not going to go out and make the next chat GPT, it's great to understand the underlying workings so that you know you can make more informed decisions later on when you're connecting tools or explaining a concept to somebody. So I think everybody has a good place where they already have a ton of information. They can start with some additional foundational information. And then courses like this are designed to give you the basics so that when you're finished with the program or even halfway through, you can start applying it to your own specific skill set that you're uniquely great at. And then you can just blast off from there.
Right. Thank you so much for that. And that point that you mentioned about applying what they learn is really important, no matter where you get the learning from, Simplilearn or otherwise. Go ahead and explore what's out there and implement that. And I think you will be amazing at your job. And I can see comments about
Absolutely.
there's someone saying there's that Python again, and we understand it could be like that sometimes, but you will surely get the hang of it if you are transitioning, right? So that also brings me to a very important part of today's webinar, which was the roadmap to becoming an AI engineer, because I can see that most of them want to transition into this field. Tim, could you please help everyone understand what kind of learning roadmap they have to follow to easily transition into an AI engineer in 2026?
Absolutely. So I think a lot of people follow a similar roadmap through Simplilearn and courses similar to this, but starting with foundation. So Python, there it is again. So you do have to learn other coding languages eventually, especially to display using UI tools. You're going to have to know JavaScript, TypeScript, some other languages as far as how to communicate your ideas. But Python is that base knowledge or that base programming language where you start, where you learn how to actually work with AI models inside of code bases. So it seems overwhelming. I promise it might for the first day or two when you're learning it, but you quickly understand, especially with tools like ChatGPT, where you can say, explain this exact Python concept so I can understand it. You can even say, hey, I'm a non-tech background, so explain this Python concept to me like you describe it to someone that doesn't know anything about Python, and you'll get a much better answer tailored for you. And then the data and machine learning basics, everybody needs to learn how to manipulate data because from prompt engineering to actually more complex workflows, if you put something into these large language models, you're going to get that's kind of sloppy, not organized. You're not going to get anything super productive out. So you have to learn a little bit about data manipulation, and that does include some coding libraries like pandas, NumPy, SQL databases, vector databases later on. There is a little bit of calculus and linear algebra, but if you're not a mathematician, that's okay. I personally hate saying math equations out loud in a class because I think I just sound wild. But what I do understand is the why it's important, why that calculus statistical model works, why the linear algebra equals this very usable tool. So I'm not a great person. I don't have a PhD in mathematics, but I have to understand those basic mathematical concepts to understand what I'm talking about. Deep learning, it's important to know how we went from AI 5 years ago to AI today because a lot has changed, a lot has improved. ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, all these things, you have to know how they learn. And deep learning and neural networks, TensorFlow, PyTorch, another couple coding libraries. Again, you don't have to be too scared of them. You more have to know what they are so that when you're trying to actually create code with those libraries later on, you're not completely in the dark about what you're doing. Because one of the worst things you can do is just create code that you completely don't understand and publish it and have people start using it because you don't know what the effects and consequences are going to do. So you have to understand how they work kind of under the hood, even if you're not a master mechanic of these tools. Then specialized domains. So we have to figure out how are people using AI today? So computer vision is the big one and natural language processing is a big one. Natural language processing is what makes ChatGPT and tools like that sound so conversational. So it's what took us from a keyword Google search to a full-blown conversation where you can learn and iterate and create new pictures, text, full scripts, things like that. and then production and deployment. So you learn all the foundationals, you learn how they all fit together, you learn how it's grown over the last 4 years, and then you have to learn how to actually deploy those, how to work in a team. So tools like Docker, Kubernetes, there's a million different tools for a million different um, things you're trying to accomplish, but you have to learn at least some basics about cloud platforms, AWS Bedrock, Azure, Google Vertex. How are people actually taking these concepts they learn and then going into a team setting and solving a problem together? So the production and deployment can feel kind of tricky, but it's a lot about communication and how to connect different services so that people can work collectively as a team. So you start with the basics and end with what do I do next? How do I actually work on a project from here?
Right. Thank you for that, Tim. You actually addressed a lot of pain points that are in the minds of most of our attendees here, right? And it was really nice to see you give such practical solutions on how they can address any concern that they may have, and go ahead to explore this domain of AI engineering, right? So one other thing I saw in the chat was also about tools, like the some AI tools that would help them in transitioning, or the essential skills and tools one must have. And luckily, that's also our next slide. So, could you also shed some lights on what they have to focus on, what kind of skills and tools would help them in their resume as well? Because while applying for jobs, they think about the kind of projects you've done, the skills that you have, and the tools that you can use. So, could you share your insights on this?
Yes, absolutely. So AI tools is a pain point for a lot of people because as a company, as an individual, if you say, okay, I want to create images, you're going to go out and if you look for a tool to create images, you're going to find maybe 500, if not more, over 1,000 different tools. So then it's like, which tools are sales tactics, which tools work well. So a lot of what you have to do is do a little research, not just use a tool blindly. So there's a lot of essential skills and a lot of tools that you learn about in courses like this, because uh, in a place like this with an instructor who's used some of the tools, they can say, hey, I've used this, or I've used this, or this is for people with a more technical background. This is for people with a base knowledge. There's a lot of low code, no code solutions. So it's not necessarily about finding the perfect tool. It's about finding the tool that works best with your workflow. And that takes research. That takes subscribing to newsletters that maybe every morning or twice a week tell you what new tools came out. And then you can read maybe a comment string of people actually, how are they using that tool? How are they orchestrating that into a greater pipeline, whether it's a retrieval augmented generation or something like that. So large language models, is another whole thing. So ChatGPT works great in its form before it was using tools, but it was a pre-trained model, so you couldn't get new information. The advent of tools with large language models allowed it to go search Wikipedia or go find out information about the weather or connect to a huge catalog of other tools. So tools not only describe things that we go find and use ourselves on the internet, but tools that we actually connect to our programs. So there are a lot of tools, but what the basic thing you need to learn and understand is how to connect to those tools, APIs, application program interfaces, how to actually go and set up an API key and connect it to your code base so that you can access that tool with your code. So it's not just about what's the new fancy tool that's on the market today. It's about how do I use tools in general? How do I evaluate tools? How do I evaluate tools for accuracy, hallucinations? How do I deploy tools? How do I share ideas with other team members with tools? So I don't want anyone to get stuck on any specific tool or like the tool of the day might be something like Zapier for automations or another tool for creating content. But then in a month, there might be a brand new set of tools. So what we teach and what I suggest people learn about tools is more about the connections, how to evaluate the tools, and how to compare tools instead of getting stuck on a specific tool and saying, I'm going to become the master of this automation tool that came out yesterday, because that might not be the best long-term idea. So having a hybrid skill stack, like it says on the slide, strong Python ML fundamentals, absolutely. do your research on different tools, know how to connect them within a cloud environment so that you can work on a tool or work as a team. But you can't just throw your own judgment behind you and say AI is going to do the rest of this. You actually have to know when to use AI, when you need a human in the loop, when a tool makes sense, when a tool is a waste of money, when a tool does this, when a tool is a pro, when a tool is a con. So we teach you, and what I think people need to understand is don't get locked into any one tool, but you need to learn how the tools fit together, how to evaluate them, and how to say, hey, this tool isn't for me anymore.
Those were some great points, Tim. And the fact that you highlighted that tools keep changing, and every day we are just bombarded with so many tools, and we are not really sure, right, which one to choose.
It's hard to
So that,
keep up.
yeah, it's really hard to keep up sometimes. So I can also see a few questions around the newsletters. Like if you have any, any recommendations for the audience, please do share that as well with them. They would love to know.
Absolutely. Daily Dev is a good one that I go to. I think it's daily.dev. That's one I look at almost every morning.
Okay, all right. So he shared the newsletter recommendation as well. You guys should also go ahead and check it out. Right. So now we spoke about the skills, the tools, how tools are evolving, and obviously, I think what a lot of people could be thinking is where does all of this lead to? Like, what are the opportunities and growth that are out there for AI engineers? Right. So, Tim, could you briefly talk to us about the emerging AI roles out there and how companies are really hiring in 2026 so they can also plan and strategize accordingly?
Absolutely. So emerging AI engineer roles, AI engineer and solutions architect are kind of some buzzwords that you'll see a lot on job boards and things like that. So AI engineers are going to come in and do what an engineer does. They're going to help construct a larger project really concerned about. I think a lot of businesses and a lot of individuals understand that AI is the revolution. We have to kind of get on board or get left behind. I feel like people say that like, I'm going to get left behind. Well, AI engineers come in to help make sure that people aren't going to get left behind. They come in to make sense of a very confusing landscape. So high growth AI engineer roles, you'll see generative AI engineers, ML systems platform engineers, applied AI engineers. These roles are all about how to connect these tools, how to make sense of these tools, how to communicate these tools to an executive leadership team or just the marketing team down the hall who doesn't know anything about tech. So it does not always have to be the highest level techie programmer that is doing this role. A lot of times it's just someone who understands the architecture and can communicate the pieces of the project in a way that makes sense to whatever team they're communicating with. So where AI engineers are actually getting hired, product companies, enterprise AI and automation teams, cloud and platform providers, startups, and scale-ups. There are a lot of startups. People, I think, quickly understand, hey, I know that I can be more efficient with AI, but I need somebody to come in and show me how. Because a lot of business owners are going to start their business because they're great at that business, or they're great at that idea, or they're great at that thing that they're starting the business around. So then they need someone that is focused on keeping up with AI trends, keeping up with how to connect AI tools, how to speak to the rest of the world about AI, make it not scary, make it make sense to a larger population. So I think a lot of what AI engineers are doing are helping companies and individuals make sense of the AI landscape. So yes, the more you know about programming, then when you come into a team that asks you more technical programming questions, then you can speak specifically to that and then add in your AI engineering. Hey, I know a lot about programming, but I also know a lot about connecting these tools. If you know a lot about mortgage lending or banking, then you can come in and say, hey, I'm not necessarily, you wouldn't have to say this, but you wouldn't come in and sell your programming skills. You'd come in and say, I know a lot about this industry and I'm an AI engineer who knows how to connect these tools together to actually give you a product that's going to increase efficiency. If you know a lot about sports or if you know a lot about cooking, almost any field you can think of, there might be a restaurant or a sports team or a local sports, not necessarily like a national sports team, but a local sports anything, a local team or anything that you can think of might need help becoming more efficient with AI. So AI engineers, I want everyone to know that you can highlight what you already do well. So, an AI engineer, you can be an AI engineer in any field. If you know how to come in and apply AI tools and skills to help that specific industry or that specific domain grow, become more efficient, or make sense of AI, even if you just make people less fearful of AI, you might be helping somebody in that industry without being a master Python programmer or a master data scientist.
Thank you for actually saying that, Tim. That really gives us a lot of confidence that no matter what field you are in, whatever expertise and strengths you have, you can still become an AI engineer in that field, right? And that opens up a
Absolutely.
lot of opportunities to everyone. And your story is also very similar. So it's very interesting to hear from you. So now we spoke about the roles and obviously about startups. Like you said, there are so many jobs out there. You will surely figure your way out once have knowledge on all of these aspects. So the next question I have for you is around the career progression within the AI engineer role itself. So how does one's career look like from an early role to a senior or principal position, and what really changes at each stage? So how can they see their career in the coming years if they transition?
Yeah, absolutely. So AI engineer careers progress in a similar way that other careers progress, in the way that oftentimes you have to start as an entry level. So let's say you were a senior project manager in your last job, but now you're coming over here and you're doing something more AI. You might have to start kind of lower on the totem pole and be an entry level junior AI engineer. So then you can shine with your amazing skills as a project engineer and then build your AI skills as a product manager to become a mid-level AI engineer. So from entry level to mid-level to senior, you're not only learning more about the actual technical aspects of how the AI machine, how the AI algorithms that your company or whichever company you're working for that you're building a career through, you're not only learning the technical pieces of how their systems work, but you're learning how their team works, how their team communicates, if they're Microsoft based or Google based. So you can come in with a whole package of AI tools that you're really great at, but if you're not familiar with that specific cloud platform or enterprise system, you may have to become a master of that company's cloud platform, AWS Bedrock, Azure, before you could then become a mid-level or senior level and then actually help instruct other new people coming in the door. Open source projects are a great place to kind of learn with low stakes. Now, it's not necessarily, most open source projects don't pay, but it's kind of a good place to get in if you've never worked on a code base with somebody. So you can get in the door for an open source project normally just by connecting with someone on GitHub or Hugging Face and learn how to work as a team, because you do need the technical skills, but you also need the team skills, how to work on it together. So from entry level to mid level to senior, a lot of the times you're learning what that company is doing, how to drive that company forward, what platforms they're using, how do their teams communicate, how do they store data, how do they use databases, how much data are they manipulating if it's a large hedge fund company versus a local nonprofit. You're going to have to learn how they're trying to scale. So you can come in with a lot of skills as, hey, I can build this amazing AI product, but most people are going to have to come into an entry level or maybe a mid level and then learn more about that company to grow to those higher positions, because it's not just about, hey, this AI skill is, I'm great at it. It's how does this AI skill actually fit into this business before you have to know that and be good at it. And then telling the new person that comes in the door behind you what you learned and how to build on top of the information you've already gained to get those more senior positions typically. Sometimes you luck out and you just are the smartest person in the room, but typically you have to build up.
Yes, that's a good point. You never know, right? Like sometimes you take chances and it just works out for you. And again, once again, you've explained the whole career progression angle very clearly. So now we have clarity on what their career could look like in 5 years, or probably for someone who's starting out, they might, like you said, have to join as an entry level or mid level engineer, and then you can definitely progress. So once anyone puts in so much effort into understanding or learning something new, they would obviously want more ideas or context on the outcome of that growth. So it is meaningful only when it shows up in terms of responsibility, sometimes influence, and sometimes compensation or salaries as well, which is a major part and also a motivational factor for many. So, could you also share some insights on the kind of salaries one can expect, especially because it is one of the most trending jobs out there right now? And do you think this will keep growing, or is it just the hype that is there right now?
I think that it will keep growing. And so I know that you have people on the call from all over the globe. So I will just say that companies spent a lot of money on AI over the last 5 years, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't work. But now what they're spending money on is people that know how to explain that AI and actually make that AI work for them. I use AI. AI is a very broad term, but I'm specifically talking a lot about generative AI or data manipulation AI, things that make workflows. Automations are big right now, whether it's searching emails for scams. Everybody thinks that sounds, and I say everybody, businesses think that that sounds great and they want that. And so they spent a lot of money on products. So there may have been a little dip as far as the hype, but that's where AI engineers shine now because they're the people that come in and say, okay, you bought 20 products over the last 4 years. You're still holding on to them. You hope they work. Now I'm going to come in and help you scale some back, make these make more sense. We can pick four of these 20 products that you've purchased over the last 4 years and we can dive deeper and find out more features. A lot of people buy two or three AI tools, and I mean companies, but also individuals. And those tools actually do a very similar thing because no one came in and evaluated those tools for all of their features. So I honestly do think that AI engineers and roles like solutions architects are going to be the people that will continue to grow because they're not just coming in and throwing AI solutions at the wall and seeing if they stick. They're actually helping businesses evaluate if they've made good choices on the AI products that they've chosen. They're getting more used to enterprise platforms like AWS Bedrock, Azure, Google Vertex. So they're learning how to work as a team and not just saying, hey, let's buy this new product. Hey, let's buy new this product. I know a little bit about it. I think a lot of prompt engineers too were coming in because they were great at prompting ChatGPT to look productive. But now AI engineers and AI solutions architects need to come in and not necessarily clean it up. I don't think that we've made a mess by any means, but at some point in some businesses, a lot of businesses rather need somebody to come in and say, this means this means this. You might not need this, you might need this. We might need more people to help us develop this further. So those AI engineers are going to come in and help everybody kind of regain faith in AI and the progression we're making with AI tools because it makes everybody more. I've not met anybody who hasn't learned how to use it appropriately and responsibly and not become more efficient, even if they don't use it every day. So AI is the wave of the future. It's going to help us all drive human effort and efficiency forward, hopefully in a good and responsible way. But yes, AI engineers, it's going to continue to grow because people need to come in and understand how all this stuff fits together and how to make it actually make sense to businesses. And so that's that. It's not, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
That's great to hear, and I'm sure everyone agrees with me to know that it's gonna grow more, and there are a lot of opportunities out there, and clearly the salaries also speak for themselves, right? So we have covered all the major points, but we discussed the compensation, but we did not talk about how you get there, right? Long before all this, we have to clear the interviews and get into discussions with hiring managers, which is like a major point. So Tim, I'm sure you have interviewed people, you have evaluated portfolios as well. So when you review these portfolios, what are some things that you focus on, and what are some tips you can share with the audience while they work on building their portfolios, even after completing this roadmap, after they complete the whole journey of learning how to become an AI engineer, how can they make a good enough portfolio that will get them or help them land their very first job?
Absolutely. So I hiring managers evaluate a lot of things and you're going to run into an interesting situation with AI where the hiring manager might not know exactly what they're even talking about from a technical expert. So you might have to talk to a hiring manager first, and then you might have to talk to a tech expert second if you pass the hiring manager's checklist. So you need to do certain things, but essentially, a lot of people build portfolios with just singular Python notebooks. So we'll do a demo, not in a few minutes here, and I'll show you how you have to turn. You can't just have a portfolio full of singular pages of code. That doesn't necessarily mean that you know what to do with that code. It might show that you know how to program and that you know how to even program with AI tools, but you don't know how to deploy that. So hiring managers are going to look for portfolio projects that are collaborative. I see a lot of people on LinkedIn and in other projects that I worked on before. As soon as they work with a team of 2 or 3 other people, no matter what that project, even if they're just working on a portfolio project together, it instantly becomes 10 times more robust because you're showing how you share code, connect code, deploy code, and it's not just static code. So that shows that system level thinking. You know how to work as a team. You're not just saying, here, I know how to create 100 lines of code, hire me. You're saying, here, I created 100 lines of code, and then I did this, and then I developed a UI based on this feedback that I got here, and then I shared it on with the GitHub. I was able to pull and merge requests, da 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 da. So more about the process of actually building a tool than just, hey, here's some lines of code. As far as business framing, a lot of companies want to know how you're going to save them money or make things more efficient. A lot of people are worried about losing their jobs. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest coming in the door and saying, hey, you can probably fire 10 people after I show you what I'm going to give you. That's probably not what I would suggest, but you do have to give the business some trade-offs. Hey, I've noticed might have this problem based on the industry, whether it's banking or mortgage or anything. Here's a solution I have that could make that process more efficient, whether it's loan applications or sorting through data of any sort. Here's a way that I've found that could make that. So you don't have to know the company's internal problems, but solving a problem for a company, even just a hypothetical problem with a roadmap of sorts, not just code, but an actual plan for how you could develop something that would help them become more efficient, is much better than just saying, hey, I'm great at this. Show them that you understand their industry and that you have a workflow or a proposal that can solve something. But deployment, trust, people want to know a lot about security around AI, especially when you talk about finance and healthcare. So having an extra, maybe a course here and there about cybersecurity or how to create good authorization workflows for different products, that can be a huge key driver that people want, because they don't want to just know that you know how to generate content. They want to know that you know how to make safe products and employ different tricks in coding, not just coding work workflows, but other things that make those products safe or usable, or guardrails, evaluation, accountability, transparency. So focusing on how that you'd use that AI responsibly is another thing that you can show in portfolios that make people take a second look, because you're thinking of it more like a system than just 100 lines of code.
Right. Thank you for sharing that, Tim. I think you shared some amazing tips on how they can work on their portfolio. And with that, I think we have covered almost all the topics that we were planning to discuss during the webinar. And before we move ahead and talk about the Microsoft AI Engineer program, we have a live demo for all of you. So you can have an idea of what you can expect from the course that we provide. We see a lot of freshers ask, how can I learn more about this? We will be talking to you about the program. But before that, Tim is just going to share a demo with you, and he's a mentor with us. So this is also kind of the learning experience you can expect from our side. So Tim, I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now.
Okay. Let me get mine up here. All right. So are you seeing my Google Colab screen here?
Yes.
All right. So this will be a pretty quick demo, but I just want to start at the same place almost everyone starts in their AI journey, with a Python notebook. So Simplilearn has a lab where you also do Python notebooks to learn that basic coding and how to actually connect tools. Google Colab is a popular tool that most people can use for free, at least to a certain extent. Heavy users might have to pay more, but that's something you could check out almost immediately. So I'm not showing you this because notebooks are enterprise ready, but because they're fast and flexible, and it's a great place to start learning about code. So in learning environments like this, we can focus on those fundamentals. So Python. A lot of people don't want to hear Python as a word. They don't want to have to learn Python. But here's the place where you can safely learn Python. Basic workflows, making an API call. So here I just have the most basic thing I could pop up for you guys today. Essentially, I'm showing you in a quick environment, or in an educational environment, how I can take an OpenAI API and I can connect it to some actual working code. Here in Google Colab, I have a real working OpenAI API, same things you do in class. And I'm not going to go through this line by line as far as coding goes, but what I want to show you here is that in class and in a situation like this, we're actually pulling ChatGPT 4o Mini. We're learning how to select a model, and you can actually ask it a question. So here I'm asked it a pretty easy question. The first one that I'm asking is, what is the capital of France? We can see here the answer came out. The capital of France is Paris. So I have a couple other questions here. So these are the kind of just, and I don't want to say easy because this doesn't necessarily look easy to everybody, but these are the basic foundational models or foundational points that you learn here. So then we can manipulate the question. So now we're asking, what is the most common way to filter water? It's running through ChatGPT 4o through an API connection. I'm not just going to ChatGPT and typing in a fun question. That's good for prompt engineering as well. But here you're actually learning how to code in the background to make a chatbot perhaps that was exposed on a website where people can come and ask questions. So now this is telling us the most common ways to filter water. That's a very long list. I have another one here that oh, I accidentally deleted that one, but let's ask one that says, what is the best AI engineering skill to learn in 2026? And we'll run it through our program. But why I'm showing you this is because this is foundational information, but this isn't where it stops. If I went to a job interview and I showed them, hey, look, I know how to program a question and answer system on ChatGPT, it's not going to impress most people. You actually have to do something more with that. So here, let's just say, what is the best AI engineering skill? It gave us 10, so I won't go through that whole list, but deep learning and neural networks, AI ethics and policy is number 2. I think that's very important. Natural language processing. So you get the point. We're actually coding, we're actually calling ChatGPT. But then here's where things start to change, and what courses like this help you move beyond is just a personal experiment. You're learning how to write with Python. You can see new questions and new responses appear. But then people are going to ask in the real world, who would be allowed access to this? Which version of the code is running? How do we monitor failures, hallucinations, accuracy? How do we improve this over time? How do we reproduce results 6 months from now? So that's where the shift to AI engineer comes in. So yes, here's a little bit of programming code, but then in courses like this, we have Azure. So again, I won't go through every feature of Azure, but this is one place where teams can come and work on enterprise level systems. So yes, there is a space in Azure where you can code 100 lines of code and play with ChatGPT. But then there's also space where you can compare two models. You can compare different versions of different models. You can compare different questions on the same model. So you can refine, iterate, other team members can see it. So you're not just coding in a basic notebook anymore on Colab that you save to your drive and no one ever sees again, but you're learning about enterprise platforms that give us the shared environments, identity and access control, security, data storage. A lot of people, you need a lot of data in order for most AI tools to work well, because it's about finding patterns in that data that help you accomplish things faster, but you have to secure that data in a place where it's not going to become corrupt or stolen or treated poorly. Logging and monitoring. If anything ever happens, you're going to have to be able to go back and say, well, this is where my system broke down. And so platforms like Azure and Bedrock and Google Vertex, in this case, Microsoft, is the platform where you can go. A single company can give you access to multiple models. So you're not going and paying for ChatGPT. The company can say, here you go, log into Azure. We've given you access to Claude 4.5 Sonnet. We've given you 4.0 Mini ChatGPT. So here's the tools you have to work with. Now, as a team, you can go work with them. So yes, they get Azure is as complicated as you wanted to make it. But the important thing is that programs like this, you don't just abandon Python after you learn it, throw it away. You build on top of it. So you go from experimenting in just a simple Colab notebook to actually learning how to deploy and how to work as a team on these things, which is what I've spent so much time telling you. That's what hiring managers are looking for. And that's what people want to see, that you don't just know how to program it, you know how to use it and do something more effective and scale it. What if 5 million people start using this yesterday? Is your Python notebook going to be able to handle that? No. So you need enterprise solutions like this so that you can scale things that are actually going to work well to service millions, if not more people. But yeah, quick and easy. That's all I got for that demo. I wish I could talk about this forever, but that's all I got for that today.
But that was a very interesting and amazing demo because I'm sure everyone got a clarity of what their learning journey with us could probably look like and what they're going to learn as a part of the course as well. So I will share my screen again. Just give me a moment. Yeah. I hope my screen is visible to all of you. You guys will get the certificate and the recording as well because I saw a lot of questions about it. Just bear with us for another 5 to 10 minutes at max. We're going to just tell you some key highlights and then we're going to launch the poll and you will receive your certificates, recording, slide deck, and your post-webinar resource as well. So we are going to be talking about the Microsoft AI Engineer program that we present as a part of Simplilearn, and we will here are some of the key highlights of the program because we're also in short of time. I'm not going to go in depth into any of these. So some of the main advantages of this program is that first, you have the Microsoft advantage that you are going to receive your certificate from Microsoft and Simplilearn along with a Microsoft Learning Badge, and this is going to add to your portfolio or your resume while you apply for jobs, right? And then we are heavily focused on AI. Our curriculum is on top of the trends. You're going to learn about deep learning, generative AI, agentic AI, everything that Tim spoke about in the previous slide. So we will ensure that you're job ready and you're also upskilled by the time you complete the course. And then as a part of our program, we also provide real world projects. So we did talk about learning the skills, but applying the skill, like Tim mentioned, is a deal breaker when it comes to creating something really impactful. So we heavily focus on that aspect and we will help you work on projects and deliver projects by the end of the course as well. And finally, you will be ready to clear the AI 900 exam by Microsoft Azure. So you will be deploying everything that you're learning. You will move from basics to advanced concepts. And we are going to explain that to you. We are going to take you through the learning path or the curriculum, and Tim is going to do that. So again, this is not very detailed. We just want you to have like a brief idea, overall idea of what you can expect from this course. You saw it in practice. Tim did that in like 5 minutes, even though we would have loved to have more time. But yes, so Tim, could you just walk us through the curriculum?
Absolutely. I'll try to leave a couple of minutes for questions at least at the end. But here's just a basic overview of what you would learn within this learning path. So Microsoft AI, Python for AI. So Python foundations, we need that. Applied data science with Python. So you have to learn how to manipulate data and actually make sure that the data that you're using for your models that you're building or the workflows that you're building is good data. Sometimes that's just filling in missing values. Sometimes that's making sure that data isn't corrupted and creating biases in your workflows. It spans the spectrum there. Machine learning using Python. So core machine learning concepts, even if you're not going to go out and build the next ChatGPT, you have to at least know how it's working under the hood. Deep learning specialization. So you actually build some deep learning pipelines that are better at digging out those underlying patterns in data that's what makes ChatGPT work so well and tools like that, because the deep learning can find those underlying patterns that allow us to find new things in data and create new things with that data. And then Microsoft Azure. So that's a highlight there because that's where you're going to actually learn how to work in an enterprise level system. So you go from just learning how to code and the basic AI literacy and foundational information you need to actually how to apply that in a job atmosphere. Building AI agents. Everybody loves talking about agents. 6 months ago, everybody loved it even more, but it wasn't quite to where it needs to be. It's getting closer. So AI agents can do anything from booking your travel arrangements to coming up with a complex project management or marketing campaign for you. So agents are all about programming, but also using those tools we talked about earlier to extend the reach of your Gemini or your ChatGPT so that can go out and find other information, actually make decisions based on what the information you've given it, move pieces of a project from one phase to the next. It's not just ask me a question, here's an answer. It's actually full workflows driven by AI. Microsoft Copilot, love talking about Copilot. Microsoft Copilot is it's ChatGPT as a brain wrapped with Microsoft. So it works well with Microsoft 365. So that's where you're able to manipulate information with that AI as far as Outlook, Word, Excel. You can actually interact with your Microsoft Office environment instead of just having to upload a document every single time you need something. Generative AI literacy, everybody needs to know terminology. What do people mean when we're talking about this? And then the Microsoft AI Engineer Capstone. So that's where you're going to apply everything you learn from basic Python coding to how do I actually deploy this and turn this into a real solution for a team that's looking for me to build them something in the future. So even if you're building something out, that's actually the next slide. So we'll talk about projects next. But yes, you actually learn at the end with that capstone how to put it all together into a more meaningful package, whether that's for a portfolio or just for you to move on to the next phase of your learning.
Thank you for explaining that, Tim. I'm sure everyone has a fair understanding of what the curriculum looks like. And because we're also in short of time, I thought I would just show them the kind of projects that they can expect as a part of the program. And we did highlight the importance of having some real world experience, right? So as a part of your program, we have multiple projects. On the screen, you can see 4 of the projects, but there are many more, and you can definitely go to the course page and check it out as well. So that is something that we really focus on to ensure that you know exactly how to apply what you have learned throughout your course with us, right? So we're not going to go into depth in on that, and here are some points on why you could possibly choose us and what are some of the benefits of choosing this course. So we help you in optimizing your course with us, and we also help all of our students with their interview prep and assessment, and you will have guidance and assessment from our team, and this could probably help you get into your very first job in this field. Apart from that, we also help you with technical assessments, and this is mainly focused on sharpening your core skills and to improve your proficiency in that specific field as well. And we also provide you with some job opportunities as a part of this course. So these are some of the highlights, and like I said, we will try to wrap it up in another 5 minutes. So I just wanted to quickly tell you about the investment for this course. So for US learners, the course fee is $1,999, and you have the option to pay this in installments. And for Indian learners, the course fee is 99,991 rupees, and you also have the option to pay this in terms of installments, right? And try to think of this as an investment, something that could help you transition, and it's a structured pathway when compared to learning from other sources. But again, feel free to go ahead, explore everything out there. We're confident about the course we are providing, so do your fair research and then think about your next steps ahead. So if you guys are interested in knowing more about this course, and if you want our team to contact you, I'm going to quickly launch a poll. You can click on a yes, and our team will reach out to you at the earliest, and they are going to share some details about the course, what you can expect, what is covered and what's not. Because again, we do not want to extend the webinar by explaining all of these details. But yes, our team will be more than happy to assist you. So go ahead and share your responses. And while you do that, I'm going to pass on at least one question to Tim from the audience, because we have a lot of questions today. And sadly, we are in short of time. So, okay, let me see. Tim, I think we did explain, but I saw a few questions about the difference between data science and AI engineering, and also an AI architect. Could you just briefly explain the differences? I know that you did this previously, but I think this wasn't joined later.
Absolutely. I've been trying to answer some questions in the chat as quickly as I
Yeah.
can. So please
Yeah.
excuse me if it's the punctuation's missing and all of that. But that's a great question. So about data science. So a data scientist could be an AI engineer too. It's not that, I think one of the questions was, is a data scientist already an AI engineer? Essentially, a data scientist is already going to be great at manipulating data, making sense of results. So a data scientist is going to be perfectly lined up to use AI because you're already looking for patterns. You already have a mathematical mind and brain. So adding on some layers of understanding how to keep data secure specifically, how to actually use modern workflows with AI, whether that's agentic AI or retrieval augmented generation. So I would being a data scientist is a great leg up because you already know how data flows through systems. If you're a programmer too, then you know what to do with databases, how to plug them in. But adding on top of that, so any skill, if you add on additional AI workflows, understand AI tools, then you can progress towards an AI engineer. AI engineer and solutions architect are often kind of used synonymously, depending on the company, because it's typically a solutions architect, somebody who knows how to find solutions with AI, no matter. So it's essentially just a problem solver. Not just a problem solver, but AI engineer is often the same thing. You're there to solve problems. Those problems are all going to have to do with AI, and some of them might be more complex than others, but you're coming in as a problem solver. So you could be a data scientist that learns more about problem solving with AI. You can be a banker that learns more about solving problems with AI. You can be a nurse that learns more about solving problems with AI. You can be a doctor that learns more about solving problems with AI. So literally plug in what you're good at, add AI on top of it, and you can become an AI engineer if you're really good at helping or people orchestrate AI tools in that field.
Right. So thank you for answering that question, Tim. I'm sure we addressed that. I'm sure that it clarified that question. And I can see a few people talk about the poll not being visible. So in case you're not able to click on a yes, you can just scan this QR here, go to the course page, and then you will have an option to talk to the learning advisor. So I'm going to end this poll right now. And then I am going to launch the next poll, which is your certificate poll. So just give me a minute. And we will also try to answer your question in the chat in the meantime. So I'm launching the poll right now. Yes, I hope the poll is visible to all of you, and for everyone joining us from YouTube and LinkedIn. If you have stayed with us till the end of the webinar, this poll would not be visible to you guys because this is launched on Zoom. You guys can mail us at webinars@simplilearn.net with your full name, and we will ensure that you receive your certificates as well. And I saw a few questions about yesterday's certificates. Some were not able to download it, so we are going to check with the team, and we'll get back to you on that. And please do not share your names in the chat because we don't record the chat. So we will not be able to keep a track of your names. If the poll is not visible to you guys, please again mail us at webinars@simplilearn.net. And again, I wanted to mention that you will receive your certificate, recording, slide deck, and post-webinar resource within 48 hours. If you do not receive it within that time, you can always reach out to us. Right? Okay. So I'm gonna keep this poll live for another 30 seconds, and I would like to take this time to actually thank Tim and also to you guys. If we have missed out on your questions, we're really sorry. There was like a shortage of time. A lot of things that we had to cover today, but we really hope we added value to this webinar and we hope you enjoyed it. We will try to address more questions in the coming webinars also. So with that, I think we are coming to an end of today's webinar, and I would really like to take this time to first thank Tim for such an engaging, interesting webinar. You've been a wonderful speaker. I loved hearing about your experiences. I loved all of your tips, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed hearing from you as well. So Tim, thank you for joining us. We are really happy to have you, and I have one last question. I think I always ask you this, and I think I'm going to keep asking you this. So, what is one piece of advice that you can give our learners who have actually stayed with us till the very end? We have a lot of them still with us. So, thank you guys for staying back. And what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think still the best piece of advice, this might be the same thing I said last time, but it's still what rings true with me is don't get overwhelmed. Come into learning AI and even a goal of being an AI engineer, you're going to have to learn a million terms, a million acronyms. It's all going to change next month. It might be completely different in 6 months. So don't get overwhelmed, but just kind of enjoy, be curious, enjoy the learning experience. I feel like careers in AI are going to be continuous educational journeys. There's never going to be a point where you say, I know everything about AI. So don't stress too much at the beginning about trying to know everything about AI. So come into it curious, understand that AI is going to work even better if you apply it to what you already do well or what you already know a lot about or what you're really passionate about. So learn as much as you can, join things like this, just hear terminology for the first time, explore before you get to determined on a very specific pathway or get discouraged from a specific pathway. Don't get overwhelmed. Learn as much as you can, enjoy the experience, and just be curious.
Thank you so much for that wonderful advice. It's always nice to hear this from you. And that also brings me, I'm going to end this poll right now. So, in case you guys have missed it out, you can mail us at webinars@simplilearn.net. And I would also like to take this time to thank all of you for staying back with us till the very end, for being such a wonderful audience. You guys have responded in the chat, asked us many questions, and it was wonderful hosting all of you. And I really hope to see you all in the upcoming webinars as well. If you have any suggestions, please again mail us at webinars@simplilearn.net, and we would be more than happy to hear from you. So, like Tim said, stay curious, have no fear, and I hope all of you have like a wonderful career ahead. And I hope all of you find your path as well. So, thank you, everyone. Thanks for staying back.